So I've grown up on a dairy farm my entire life, and it was conventional at first, and then in 2014, the 270 acres that my farm was on was sold out from underneath us because it was just rented. I was faced with this decision to either let it go and find a different career path in my future, or keep a few cows and somehow continue my passion of having cattle and dairy farming.
Shannon has always been interested in animals ever since she was a very young child.
And Shannon always had kind of a natural knack around cattle, as you say, with the showing, and then she just had always a desire to be a farmer. And this interest in cattle and farming not only influenced her, but she was able to influence a lot of other children in the community too that wanted to be involved in 4-H and showing cattle.
She's the main reason why we even are doing this, because of her passion, because we were at a point where,
Yeah, just,
we probably
financially
wouldn't
it wasn't
have
making
even,
it.
But
and
seeing that passion in her, we knew we had to find a way to make it work.
My parents have definitely been the most influential people throughout my agricultural career, because I've grown up watching them work on their farm my whole life, and they've really inspired me to be passionate about agriculture. Most of my summers would be spent in a tractor raking and baling hay, and then on top of that we still had the cows to milk twice a day, so my parents and I were working like 18 hours a day. You never get a day off when you're milking cows. Throughout high school, my parents were a huge help. Now that I'm in college, I'm able to take care of everything on my own. It's a lot easier, and especially because we're not milking twice a day right now, so things are a little bit easier to manage, just with it being myself. Throughout high school, I wouldn't have been able to do it without my parents. So I decided to keep a few head of animals. I kept 15 or 16 at the time. And I was milking them with the help of my parents in a small shed in my backyard for an entire year. Luckily, we had 70 acres of pasture to keep them on. I was seeing so many changes of my animals as far as their health, and they were so much healthier than when they were on the conventional dairy. I had one cow that could hardly walk and had so many foot problems on the conventional dairy. We brought her down here on pasture, and she did so much better. She was walking like nothing had ever happened to her. That's when I decided that we could be an organic dairy farm. One of the biggest differences from conventional to organic is that your cows have to be on pasture for 120 days of the year, and they have to have outdoor access all the time, and then they also have to have most of their diet come from forages such as hay or baleage. If you would have told me 6 or 7 years ago that cows don't need antibiotics and they're fine just being on pasture or in mud, I wouldn't have believed you. But looking back at it now, I think going organic was the best decision we've ever made, and my cows are healthier than they've ever been. So I was first introduced to CCOF from my FFA advisor. He had came across the grants, and he knew that I was in the process of transitioning to organic, and that year is pretty difficult for most farmers, because, especially dairy farmers, because we're paying for organic feed but we're getting conventional milk price. So finances are pretty difficult at that time. I have to somehow come up with the funds to build fences and get my establishment settled and all set to be organic. So I decided my sophomore year to apply for a grant from CCOF, and I ended up getting it, and the funds were used to purchase and build a perimeter fence around my land, and then buy step-in posts and reels for rotational grazing throughout the pastures. And then anything left over was used for the organic feed that we were having to pay for. So CCOF has already done so much to support me throughout my first few years of being organic, and I could see a benefit of future funding to make my farm more sustainable and environmentally friendly.
Our hope for Shannon in the future is to follow her passion. Her passion is in raising dairy cattle and being a farmer, being an organic farmer. We want to make sure that she has the resources not only to be able to finish her college degree at Michigan State University, but to be able to get out of college and have an operation where she can take that possibly to the next level.
I think she's also played a big role in our community, teaching people about organic food and how it's grown and the difference between organic and conventional and the benefits that you can get from organic.
I think the reason why I want to continue being involved in farming is because that's what I've grown up doing, and that's kind of all I've ever known, and that's what I've grown to love. And I can't imagine doing anything other than farming and having cattle and being involved in agriculture.